Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.organissima.com. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty. Organissima.
Welcome back to the iHealth channel and iHealth Radio with Hurricane H. New day, new show, new guest. Another angle today of psychotherapy, a holistic approach, and just a specialist with us today to guide us and give us a whole new way of thinking of things and being really a new person, if potentially we can get there. You know, we all are looking and seeking for something in our lives and to try to make some positive changes. And hopefully our guest today can guide us through his experience and his practice as to some of the practices we can have, you know, to help us out in our day-to-day life and how to improve. Now, without any further ado, I have Alex Boianghu, and he is a psychotherapist that handles he does a lot of work with couple therapy and personal therapy and stuff like that. So Alex, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm excited. Looking forward to this.
Oh, listen, I've been looking forward to this for a minute. We booked this for about like 2 months already. So, finally. So Alex, well, tell us about your journey and your background. As I don't know, I think your the name of your site is Journey to Wholeness, right? Is that what it is?
Journey to Wholeness.health, yeah.
There you go. So let's talk about that. What got you into it, and of course your background, your experience, and so on and so forth. And then let's take it from there.
I think there's two streams of my own personal life and kind of the momentum of my own tendencies, and I was very curious of the nature of who am I and what is life at a very early age. I don't know if I've had great mystical experiences when I was little, but I remember certain instances where I had key insights in my observation process that led me and was a continuum of those insights. And I think I came into the world primed to do what I do. And the reason I know that is because who I am and what I do is inseparable from me. And I don't play a role called psychotherapist. I express the profound nature of healing, the profound nature of capacity for all of us to be whole. And since that is my own personal kind of experience and drive in life, then I know that actually everybody is interested in that as well. And then, of course, there's particulars about my life and all the journey and all the steps. But like I've said before to many people, those particulars are not as important as the theme and the momentum that was moving in me, which was a deep yearning for a sense of completion and truth within myself. And I knew early on that it wasn't out there. I knew that it wasn't external to my own internal world, my own frameworks, my own belief systems, the collective unconscious of multi-generations that had shaped and formed this person, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to say something you said in the introduction, just to circle back to make sure. You said something about becoming a new person, and I want to say something to that. There is no becoming a new person. What there is letting go of what you're not to reveal what you are. And there's a big difference for me. And I know I'm very picky about words. People make fun of me about this, but I'm a stickler on words because words describe processes and truths, right? I can't say the moon is somewhere here. It's somewhere here, the moon. It's right there. There's the moon, right? It's like right there. So as much as, and because, if you say to someone, and I don't mean you, and this is a common, by the way, notion and a framework in psychotherapy, quite often it's changing. It's kind of like, 20 to 21 steps to be a better you, 7 shortcuts to, all this kind of like the better you, right? You can't become a better you with the same framework that one has lived with. It's like saying, I paint with a black, paint, and the better me is going to paint some different colors. Well, how are you going to do that if you just have one color on your palette, right? It's in the process of letting go. The whole path is one of letting go. In the letting go, you have a moment just of like, clearly seeing, and I don't mean with the eyes, clearly perceiving what is true about who you are. So I just wanted to add that piece immediately in the beginning of this.
Well, actually, Alex, this is exactly what we're doing this show. I mean, really is bringing that value, because to your point, I mean, I use that expression as generic.
I know, I know that.
And no, but it's perfect because to your point, everybody wants to be different or be better and so on and so forth. But
they want to get rid of they want to get rid of themselves.
Yes. Well, you want to change to something, but you don't even know what that something is. And I think
wow.
you just clearly pointed out the obvious, and really that's the trick point, because for us, we're not in your expertise, so we're not seeing it that way, and the majority of us will probably just refer to it as that. But you dissect it to a level which is beyond where we are. That's your expertise, of course, and we appreciate that. So actually, thank you for turning that, and giving us this moment here, because I think let's even build on that. So I for example, and we can personalize this, I've always looked into maybe becoming different and better and improving on myself. But you're right. What is it that I'm doing different? What am I using the same format? And we've had discussions with previous guests, and I have this in personal life. Like we talk, and well, what am I doing different? Am I just following the same? I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different outcomes. Well, we probably do the same thing and think that things are going to change for us overnight. And that's probably not the case, right? It doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen in the process of doing. It happens in the process of being. And quite often people believe it's going to be in the doing, like I'm going to develop a new habit. I'm going to get a new relationship. I'm going to get a new job. In the doing activity side of it, we believe that somehow in the activity, will get to the place of being who I imagine myself to be at the end of that. There's something very interesting about that, and it's an energetic thing. That yearning within us arises out of who we are already, and this is very important. So in this moment right now, for yourself and for me, when we sit here and we just quiet down a little bit through, let's say, a minute or so of breathing, and we quiet down, in that quieting down, what becomes available to us is simply an energetic tone. It's not a feeling, it's an energetic tone that is like bubbling up from within us. That is the truth of who we are. It's like it's the energy that's been trapped underneath all of that conditioning, right? And we can start to feel that. Oh, yes. And then as we give that room, it flowers and blossoms and grows, and it's simply an energetic tone of freedom. It has certain qualities to it. It has qualities of spaciousness, timeless, it's radiant, it's present, it's grounded. And when we say it's refers to I am. I am spacious. I am timeless. I am infinite. I am love. I am power. I am grounded. I am my true voice. I am wisdom. That's what I am.
I want to believe in all those right now. The way you make it sound, I mean, really, it is amazing, because listening to you right now, and I hope that people watching and listening get the same vibe. I mean, just listening to it makes me feel like I'm yearning to being exactly that, and really feeling that feeling that you just reflected right now. But I wanted to add a question to that. Why is it that we behave the way we behave? We think, in a wrong way, as opposed to like really believing and becoming. And what is that? I mean, you said it's a common thing, where people always say, I want to be the better person, but they're not, seeing it the right way. In your expertise and experience, why is that? I mean, there's got to be something that is causing for us to always look at it from that end and not really taking your approach. And certainly we need the help potentially to see it the way you just described it. Is like, how is it that people are not thinking, the way that is? We're always looking at, like, I want to improve, but we're not thinking of being.
That's called the process of identification. So remember something. When we are being conditioned from birth, right? All those belief systems are about self and other, and they go deeply to the core of our sense of identity, of who we think we are, right? So that sense of identity is called the imaginary identity, the idealized sense of identity. It's what we know, most intimately from our environment. Well, if you're growing up and you learn that you're a piece of poop, then you're going to live that life coming out of those belief systems. So all negative belief systems that are around the perceptions of self feel like we're away from home, and then we live a life that expresses that disconnection. And so therefore we can't believe the words that I said. We have to experience those words. So, for example, the experience of one's own power. What does that mean to experience power, right? Yes. That's a sense of aliveness and a sense of I can. It's a sense of capacity, right? Well, when we let go of our conditionality, even for moments, we're like, I feel like I could do anything, right? And you often see that with people, like in one moment where like, just even if they shift their perception by just a little bit, just by a little bit, they're like, oh, right. Why didn't I ever see that way? That moment is such an important moment because it doesn't mean that the next view is correct, but it does mean that views can change, you see? And in being able to change the view, we get a much broader perspective. All of a sudden, like, wait a second, with the view changing, how do I feel about myself all of a sudden? Oh, that's interesting. So the view is also connected to the way I experience myself. Such an important aha, right?
I'm just astonished right now because as I'm thinking, you're talking and I'm listening and really trying to process the concept. I mean, you're talking about really a different way of looking at things, and experiencing is really the key word here, because
it's experiencing.
I don't know if we do experience things, and or at least we don't reflect on it that way. Maybe that's the other part. I don't know, but we have this belief, but we don't relate to it in terms of the experience. I think that's most of us probably fall in that.
That's it. That's right. So it's almost like my sense of self and experience are two separate things. I stir the water with mud, and then I'm surprised I have muddy water, and it doesn't taste good.
When you put it like that, I mean, I had to laugh because I'm sure someone watching is like, damn, that's me.
Right now, it's not our identity that's who we are. It's more that we really believe deeply into the stories of our life. I am a male, I am this, I am from here, I am this culture, this religion, let's say, this. Well, I'm not sure if that's really who I am fundamentally. If all of us stripped away our conditioning, we'd all start just focusing on the fact that we are humanity. You see, humanity is our first home. Everything else from there is the conditional home.
Those are powerful words, I have to say, because you're right. I mean, we tend to forget those, and we all have these senses of I am from this tribe, I am from this flag, I am from this belief. But you're right. I mean, we do share one world, and we do share, similar, concepts that, to your point, we are part of humanity and we won.
I often joke and I tell people I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'm sorry to say this, but I don't find people's stories quite original. So all of our stories are quite thematic and patterned.
Yes.
It's like, when you look at animals, for example, and you look at a lion's life, you'd say there's particular qualities and aspects to a lion's life that makes it a lion's life, right? The lion likes to purr and be upside down and do these things. Well, elephants don't do that. That's not their experience. Well, we can say in the human condition, we're all patterned, not that original. And, throughout history, the amazing thing about humans is that we've created a lot of mythologies and stories about what are the main two things that we've created stories about. Where did I come from and where am I going, right?
Mm.
But how about how to live? How about how to deeply be in the present moment and experience the fullness of life now, here? We could all sit around for thousands of years philosophizing where we came from and where we're going. It doesn't change the fact that how do I treat somebody when I go to the supermarket? The only way I can really treat that person with authenticity is going to be to recognize that we are of the same tribe.
Interesting. I have to say, because I'm just like smile. I mean, I have this little smile here now, but you're right. I mean, history repeats itself. Things are always the same, and we hear it over and over. We see it over and over, but that doesn't help us individually. And to your point,
No.
if we take the minute to just reflect, whatever you just said right now, that in itself, if we pose that and we just take that and just reflect on it, that in itself can change, how we behave and experience things. I mean, I'm just getting that vibe right now, because you're right. If I have to stop, well, I don't have to worry about everything else. Let's just worry about how to get this moment together in time and build from there. Does that even work?
Yeah, I mean, right in this moment, the authenticity of our connection then shapes our energetic field, and we go out to others, continuing the ripple effect of remembering deeply on an experiential level that we are made up of the same stuff that everybody else is made out of. Same. Energy, light, quantum consciousness, all that. The person next to me, if I don't have a lens that judges them for their height, their color, their gender, their race, their ethnicity, if that's removed from me, all I'm going to see is the way that the sun shines on water and it creates these ripple effects of light. That's just one ripple of light showing up, that beautiful manifestation called that being.
So, Alex, in your experience and your studies and your research, and you're just dealing with this for 30 years, why is that? Why is it that we don't see it that way, and how is it that we're not valuing just that we can possibly conceive that something is wrong, we all kind of want to do something better, but yet we're still caught up in these differences? And to your point, instead of looking at we are the same, let's figure out a better way. What is driving people to really always like look at the other people as different, or always try to identify folks?
Simple. The answer is simple. Very, very easy. It's our narcissistic tendencies. Sorry, very bluntly to put.
It's all good.
It's our desire just for the me. And it's not long term. Typically it's quite short term me. Where can I get the best this? How do I get this? Like my comfort this. And you gotta, like if you look from the moment the person wakes up to the moment they go to sleep, how much of what they're doing is centered around their own experience? Now, here's the interesting thing about it. Everybody's gonna be like, well, isn't that what's important? Wait a second. We've all tried through our own ways of dealing with experience and chasing after experience to feel whole. And for the majority, we fail at that experience of wholeness, not just for a moment. You know, it's nice to have that piece of ice cream and you're like, oh, that feels really good, but that's going to fade away. You and I are not talking about that kind of experience. We're talking about the kind of experience that is stable across all of life's experiences. You see, who is that human being that is able to do that? They've they've let go of their attachments to a perceived identity, and they recognize deeply in their heart that there is nothing more important than to see another being lit up from the inside. It's nothing like it. It's just like, imagine to see another person go, oh, wow, I feel at home. I don't know of any better experience than that, to be honest with you.
Well, again, I am just kind of out of words because I'm trying to conceive it. And you're right, it's difficult because we are conditioned. And that's actually a question, because you mentioned narcissism, you know, you being just you, always about you. It's all about us, right?
Yeah.
And when we are kids, somehow it's not the case, but as you grow up, it becomes the case, meaning that you get all these influences that turn you.
What's the unconscious and conscious message, by the way, in Western culture? Let me ask you that. What's the message that we are bombarded from the time we were small to now? What's the constant messages that we hear?
Where there's other people, different religions. That right? I don't know.
What's the messages that we hear that tell us about what's important?
Oh, yourself, right?
That's it. You know, if you look at, you know, you walk outside and we're bombarded, right? From early on to whatever age, and the messages are constantly, you can look better if you get this. You will attract 17 women if you wear a certain cologne. You know, if you buy this car, you're gonna be like this. You know, like the promise, by the way, is intoxicating. It's intoxicating, the promise. It just that most of the time when we get to be around 40 years old, that promise, we become quite disillusioned with that promise, you see? And it's usually the second half of life that I find people becoming much more curious about their participation in the creating of reality, not just like I'm living my life and, you know, I'm building and I'm creating and I'm finding and I'm getting. And then it's like you hit a certain age, you're like, wait a second, the promise didn't work out.
I couldn't agree more, man. I have experienced that again personally. I mean, I just turned 50, and you know, in the last decade, you know, my life has turned a little bit the way I see things, and I mean, even the promise of doing this particular job in terms of, you know, podcasts and things was about that, because to your point, you know, the first 30, 40 years, you don't even think about things. You just enjoy life and everything is peachy. Life sounds good. You got all these, oh, you got to become rich. You want to do this, you want to live, you want to, but then you realize life is like, well, you're halfway there if you're lucky. And then what's up? What's next? You know, and now you start making some real bold, you know, asking bold questions to yourself. And then you want to find value for you, for yourself, and then also for the world. What is your legacy? It's crazy.
Look, you're naming something that's, you know, kind of typical of human beings, is that for certain periods of our lives, it is about our own kind of, you know, how do I build my life and so forth, right? I mean, I understand that. I mean, there's a need to build financially. There's a need to build emotionally and relationship, career-wise. We want to create that, and I think as we're creating it, the idea is that in each of those pieces, that somewhere down the road, you know, that will build the final picture. And this is where it's difficult. Then, you know, that we all have an imaginary picture in our mind, right? And I've talked to so many people where they get to the imaginary picture, and they still feel empty inside. They still feel a sense of lack inside. It's really an interesting phenomenon to watch. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
you know?
I mean, I don't know how you do it, but you sit with people, you listen to people, and you get to that point over and over, and you see it. That's got to be some scary point, because you seen this like over and over with a lot of folks, and it's the same thing. Doesn't change. Almost
Doesn't change.
every one of us, I guarantee you,
Same.
if I sat
Same.
down in front of you and we did a session, you're probably going to find the same concepts here.
Same thing.
So let's go over that. Now, your guide, I come to you, we sit down, and anyone listening, maybe like if they want to reach out to you and get, acquainted with your way of doing things, how do you proceed with someone? Like you taking them raw, or you taking them like just as is, and you kind of convert them to something better. At least when I say convert to something better, like get them to start believing and experiencing and turning.
Yes, sure. The process has several stages to it, and there are a couple of beautiful models that have been written by Jung and other great thinkers that have really outlined the process of transformation, right? And A.H. Almaas is one of those authors that's done an incredible job. Some of Ken Wilber's work, some people saw that, he's described a particular kind of worldview. There's many thinkers like that have created that. For me, I see a stream of a few different pieces coming together that become alive for me in the work that I do with people. So number one, what's really important is that I send the message to the person that they are whole and they are free. This is the first thing, right? And the good news is that everything that you've learned can be unlearned. It's a powerful moment when somebody's sitting in front of me and we start to talk about that, just let's say even philosophically to begin with, right? Just philosophically before we get to the experiential side of it, right? Because then there's the experiential side of that. Sometimes hearing that news, imagine somebody says, "You are whole and you are free." And like, what? Like, how can that be? I don't see that. And I'm like, when I said it to you, was there any the slightest nanosecond of being like, right? And a lot of people are like, they're like,
yes.
Yeah, right.
Well, I just felt the same thing. I mean, you asked the question, I reflected on it, and you're right. Yes, you can.
Right, you can. Like, I want you to try something. This is an exercise right now.
Go for it.
This will be for everybody.
All right.
Right in this moment right now, I want you to ask yourself the following question, then you'll tell me what you find. Who am I without any historical reference points? Right now, just take a moment, just sit with that, and tell me, what do you experience?
Wow, that is, it's a challenging question, because it's like,
stay. Who am I without any reference points? Don't go anywhere. Leave the mind out, leave the trying to, nothing, just relax into the answer.
I found empty.
There we go. That's right.
There's nothing.
That's right. That the initial experience is that there's nothing, but what's the nothing? What's missing? What's missing is our conditionality.
Yes. I couldn't identify myself with anything, because you said stop everything. So it was
there it is. Now look at this. Now you're talking about what we do in the session. Now you experienced a moment, right, of myself without conditioning.
Which means I'm a vanilla box and I can do everything else new.
You are now open to experiencing, perceiving from that clear. You see, the emptiness is not a voidness. It's a fullness without the conditioning, you see.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
Right? So in that moment, it's not that you disappeared, right? Were you still with me? Were you still able to talk to me?
Of course.
Great. So who was there? You weren't an empty blob, right? You didn't become a nothing, right?
No, definitely not.
So and I would like to change the word. Not that you were empty, you were emptied of conditioning. You see, it's not that, in this moment I am empty. No, I am free and emptied of. Very important.
Yeah, Alex, I have to tell you that this particular small exercise we just did right now, and anyone listening and watching, please do it. you will probably be just in shock for a second because I couldn't figure out what to say because I couldn't find anything to connect to. Because the minute you said nothing else, just you with no connection to anything, that's it. Because I think that's we are so conditioned to everything else that that's all we know. And your
Tough
formula,
phrase.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I can start again. I can become a different.
No, no, no. And then you don't have to worry about I'm going to become. You're just be.
That's
Just being. Just
one moment at a time. I get it.
right.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to become a something, because in the space of emptying, those qualities that I mentioned before become more profound. So now I want you to notice something. What happened to your heart, or heart chakra, as we say in yoga, when you relax into, oh, I am free of my conditioning? Watch what happens in here. What do you notice? What quality do you notice?
I'm light. I feel good.
See that lightness, that quality of lightness, right?
Yeah, it's
Now
it's a good
follow
feeling.
that, right? Now follow that lightness a little bit more in your experience, right? And notice that lightness comes with a quality of love. Not love for someone or something, just a quality of love.
True. I'm thinking about it right now. It's like it feels like you don't want to worry about anything bad. You just want to be good.
There is nothing to worry about in that way of being, and there's no needing to be good because it's already complete. So the goodness is inherent in it, right? You see, again, there's no more striving to be good or not good. That duality, we've ended that duality by letting go. See, what we empty is the illusion of ourselves from a dualistic perspective of I'm good or I'm bad. You and I are experiencing ourselves even without that of am I good or bad. Notice in that moment of who am I without any reference points, right?
Uh-huh.
There is just a quality of goodness.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's you can't think bad. There's nothing to think about anymore. It's just like it's you.
It's just being. It's just you.
Yeah.
It's just you. So like
Yeah.
all this running around of like wanting to be me in 1 second was right there.
I have to say, man, this was one of the most interesting experiences I've had. I've never had this exercise before, and it is a unique moment, and this is gonna be with me for the rest of my life. Thank you for that. And
so yeah, of course. So in therapy, we start like this. Right in that moment, you see, before the person, everybody wants to come to therapy to tell their story, and most of the time, what people don't realize is they want to tell their story. And a lot of therapists end up just listening to the story. And what that often leaves the person with is actually not processing very well, but actually believing in their story and retelling it all over again. You see, there's a benefit in telling our story only as long as it leads to direct insights and transformations, not simply for telling our story. And you and I know, how many times have we told our story, or our friends tell the same story? We have certain friends and family members that repeat the same story. We've heard it 1,000 times. That guy that comes to the barbecue and is telling you the same story about his life, and you're going, you said that to me 1,000 times, and nothing has changed.
I think everybody can listening to this or watching can relate to that. We all did it, and we all heard it.
So in therapy, there's room for the unfolding of repressed material, you see, and that's sometimes important. It's that all the stuff in the shadow, all the things that we don't want to look at about ourselves, that has to come out, and that comes out in therapy in all the forms of the way we feel shame and guilt. This is very important. All the negative talk that we have, which has shame and guilt attached to it. See, as long as we believe in the imaginary negativity about myself, shame and guilt are going to come. Because why? When I don't feel well about myself, how am I going to live in the world? I'm going to live in a world that doesn't really align with who I really am. And then what happens? I feel shame and guilt. I walk down the street, somebody says something to me, and I curse them out. And I walk away and go, I didn't like that. That didn't feel good, right? Well, in that moment, we didn't work with our energy and our emotions. We didn't go deep enough to understand our perceptions and reactions. And then what ends up happening, we feel shame and guilt. But the shame and guilt, that's not the issue. That's the consequence of feeling separated from our wholeness. It's the consequence. So is anxiety and depression. So is addiction. You see, all of those, all of them are the outcome, of course, as Gabor Mate talks about trauma. Our traumas force us to abandon ourselves, and then everything that we do is an extension of those traumas, you see. So it's all understandable, right? There's compassion for all of that. And of course, the good news is that it can be healed and transformed.
Wow. Alex, you're talking and you gave the example of the example where someone just had a tough discussion or cursed somebody or did something, right? And that guilt, but so as you said that, I was thinking like, try to use that same exercise we did a second ago or a minute ago about just be empty. And like when you think about it, if you were to do that with every situation that escalates in front of you and you just kind of shut down for a second, then you just have no reason to actually curse or do anything, because the only reason we do that is probably because that's how we believe that's the way to do it.
That's right. Correct.
But just like, again, I try to use that same concept just to apply it. And this, if it were me right now in front of someone that just getting excited, there's two options. I can really try to fight and get all excited and be like very not angry. And I know that I walk away, I'm probably not going to be happy about it. But then if I said, you know what, just stand there and not do anything and just kind of like empty it, like there's no preconceived notion about what to do, and then I'll just be able to walk away.
What do they often teach in the Eastern martial arts, right? Especially within the Zen tradition,
Mm-hmm.
They often teach that in the movements, if you're there, meaning your conditional stuff is there, you're going to get defeated. The Grand Master is the one who has emptied themselves out of conditioning and is doing the martial arts in completely the now, spontaneously in the flow. See? So then the action is flowing out of being. Therefore, in that moment of the person down the street that we would potentially get angry with, all of a sudden in that moment, we kick into that letting go quality. And it's like, you recognize that the other person, here's the big insight, is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in confusion. And due to their suffering and confusion, what role do I have? What benefit can I have in that moment? Now, to fight and beat them, maybe in a particular moment, that may be needed.
Self-defense.
If my life isn't threatened, my family,
Sure.
like there might be. So therefore, the aggression is still not bound up in an identity of, I want to prove myself to be a macho man. Oh, my father beat me and this is what this person is going to get. So it's not tied into that way. It's much more cleaner. So, this is not a show about becoming passive and just, letting people mistreat us. That's not what I'm talking about here. We won't allow people to mistreat us, by the way, when we embody our wholeness. We will not do that. We actually will have very strong boundaries and very clear boundaries. And I've seen some of my teachers be so sharp about their boundaries. And some people are like, oh, my feelings are hurt. No, the teacher just said clear, like, no, this is how far you can get with this. These are the consequences. That's it. It's amazing.
It is. Well, Alex, you're talking about the martial arts and you're right. I do have a background in martial arts, and one of the teachings is that you don't engage in a fight, you avoid the fight. And typically I've seen this happen when you escalate to that level, to elevate to that level. That person will automatically, well, this is it, like, no, we don't have to go there. And he can change their perception on things like, damn, you're a better person than I am. Maybe I should, engage and learn your trick. And sometimes it could work. And of course, you're right. If it gets to a point where you have to defend, then you have to do whatever. It's not a passive status here. Then
Correct.
And even with that, you act with control. So you have that as well. So it's a higher being. It's a higher self, conception or perception, I would say.
Yeah. And just again, it's not even a higher or lower. It's you without any
conditioning. Right, I'm listening, right?
That's right.
Well,
It's
so Alex, this, I mean, first of all, I mean, the time is flying, and I'm getting all these vibes, and I'm like getting a little, excited here.
I love it.
But here's the thing, and I hope that again, everybody listening, watching, please get excited with this, because it's kind of very deep stuff, and there's some philosophy, there's psychology here, there's everything going on at the same time, but it's simple. That you're bringing that to a simple concept.
Well, that's it. That's the other thing I didn't get a chance to say. Sorry that you say it now.
No, please go. Yeah.
Psychotherapy should be simple. It should be simple. It's not complicated, and if you know what you're doing, it is simple, meaning it's so simple and elegant. Let me make sure. And artistic, right? It's artistic elegance, you know what I mean? And within that, the reason it's simple is because the person who is dedicated to the quality of being will not get lost in everything that the client is throwing out into the universe. That's the problem. The person who comes into the session, they just vomit on the canvas everything that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. The way I look at it is, when they do that, it's like a 1,000-piece puzzle, right, being thrown on the canvas, and the therapist with elegance and artistry goes, let's put it all together. You see, now watch. These pieces go here. They're connected to that piece. Now, wait a second. Let's build this out. And then at the end, everybody looks at it and stands back and go, oh my goodness, all the pieces are interconnected. All the pieces are interconnected. And what happened was, I became confused that I am the puzzle pieces and not the canvas. I lost my way. And now I can see that I can relax and let go of these puzzle pieces because they don't serve me. And I'm going to relax into the quality of the canvas. Simple elegance.
Well, listen, I mean, talk about elegance. I mean, I think it's also elegance in the linguistic choices here too. It is amazing how you're putting it, like, as in the form of an art and in very simplistic words. But I get it. I mean, and I'm not, there's probably brighter people out there, if not more than I would think of. And this is for everyone. I think at the end of the day,
it's experience. It's direct experience. This is everyone. It is for everyone. And just because I've been doing this a long time, so I have the elegance of the language and the ideas and insights, that just comes with time and practice, right? But what's more important for the person who's on this journey is the direct experience of their wholeness and freedom. I want to keep coming back to that. It's not about my fancy footwork or my skill level. That's just to support the person to get to the same place. You see, that's all.
Journey to wholeness.
Health.
That is your site. That is your concept. That is your practice. And I think, I mean, you've literally put all the concepts in those two words, pretty much. I mean, because that's kind of, it's pretty deep, and it's turning someone to become whole with themselves, right, with their thoughts and their being, and really put that into practice, not just ideologies, but really experiencing themselves in a way that is simple and productive for themselves and for everybody around them. I mean, I think just that in itself, who doesn't want that? I don't think anyone in this world that exists would want to have a different personality or different outcome. I think getting to it, or getting enlightened to get into this concept is the issue. And most of people may not be exposed to it. And luckily, maybe you are available, resources such as yourself are available. And we want to share this with as many people as possible. Find yourself, do the exercise, become the experience, and not just something else. Experience it for yourself. Again, that's just how I literally, that's what I got from this. This almost felt like a session right now.
Yeah, well, that's why I said to you, this is how it is.
I enjoyed it, man. I mean, I have to say, I'm still enjoying it, by the way. And then time is moving fast too. But really, so I know you do this with individuals, You also do it with
And
couples,
couples.
and
That's
and
right.
it doesn't matter, right? I mean, walk of life, financial background, age groups. I don't think it matters at all.
I see everyone from all over the world. I do this online full time, so I see people from China to America, to Japan, to Bulgaria, to Greece. I mean, all over the world with different backgrounds, different religious, context. I'm working with a young man from India who comes from out of a Muslim family. I get a guy from Saudi Arabia who lived in Britain. You know what I mean? Like, the stories are like just like this.
Amazing.
And what I said before was, as unique as those circumstances are, the whole story is always themed. Therefore, the healing for each one of them is always the same. I don't do something different with each person that comes in. I basically help them take the straitjacket that they're wearing to take it off.
I like that analogy. That's interesting, because you're right. I mean, we are all caught up with everything around us.
Yeah, it feels like a straitjacket. You know what I mean?
Well, we are. You're right. I mean, we talked about influences, but you said it from the beginning that you're aware. Everybody's is telling you how to live. From your parents, your school, your TV, and now more than ever, social media. I mean, influencers, different things. I mean, it's amazing the power of how that is getting into ourselves and changing how we think. Almost, we don't think for ourselves anymore. We just think how
Well,
we're
that's
being
interesting
told.
that you say that. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because if we really closely examine and we say, is that thinking really belong to me? And it's a weird question to ask. Like, do I really believe? Like, it's you have certain beliefs and you grow, and then you're like, do I really believe that? It's a profound moment, and you're like, oh man, it's not mine. That's not mine.
Well, it's an old concept. I mean, even in religion, most people will take religion as granted for whatever they brought up in, right?
Correct.
And there are fanatics that just don't even inquire about anything or even learn within their own religion. They just know one way and they apply it as is.
That's right.
And so that's the reason I mentioned religion, because that's pretty much ancient, and religion existed since the beginning of time. But at least in people that believe in religion. But the fact of the matter, even in normal life, even in business, there are people in theories where they learn a trick, and that's a trick they apply for the rest of their life, and that's just because they're learning that way. And they're not like, wait a minute, that was just one way of doing things. Maybe there's better ways.
Awareness.
Let's just think about yourself.
Yeah,
think about it.
Awareness. A pause, just for a few seconds, to allow all of the agitations that are deeply within us. We often complain that we have muscle aches and tensions, that we carry. You talk to people like, and everybody's like, yeah, I feel tense. What they don't realize is that they feel tense on a very subtle level, not just on the dense level, but a very subtle level. And if you pay attention to that, like right now, again, the exercise is, if you tune inwards and you almost like you're falling deeper towards the center of your energetic field, you're going to find, you, me, all of us, we're going to find there's a quality of just stirring agitation, an unsettledness, restlessness. You notice that?
Yes.
And you see, right there, that's a clue. And then what do? We're like, okay, I'm going to do this to either cover it up or to try to calm it down just a little bit, because we don't really know how to explore that very, very fine whisper of energetic agitation. We only know how to deal in the bulky area of thinking and feeling. Those are bulky. Thinking and feeling, by the way, are the last on the scene from the energy. It's like saying, where is the wave come? Well, it's the motion of the bottom of the ocean. And we're busy being like, let's deal with the wave. The waves are what? The thoughts and emotions, right? We got to get to the bottom of the ocean. There is the stirring. There it is. It's unsettled.
Like an earthquake, right? It's
right?
It's in deep in the ground, and then the vibes and the frequencies come up.
That's it. And then it comes up. And we're too lost in the surface level of what comes up. You know, you ever see that classic psychoanalysis picture where you see the ice what do you call it, like an ice cube up,
Yeah.
up on top of the water, like an ice
Hmm.
island, right?
Yeah.
And then you're looking at it and you think that's all there is, but if you go underneath,
Yeah. The tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
it's the tip of the, it's a huge iceberg going underneath, right? Most of us function at the level of the tip of the iceberg.
That, again, iceberg, mountains, you're right, that's deeply rooted, and we don't see it because we're shallow. Unfortunately, we see things from the surface at all times.
We believe in thinking.
Well, let me ask you, Alex. I mean, this is you've been referring to energy, and not everybody, I think, out there listening today or viewing or in general really takes the time to even reflect that we are beings of energy and we interact with energy and everything around us is energy. There's that whole philosophy of this, right? And you talked about martial arts and the energy levels and all that, but many people are clueless about that. What they may not exposed to it enough to realize that, or they're not even reflecting enough to see, like, wait a minute, there's more to us than just words and actions and what we are getting. There's more. There's influences. There's, like, you and I, we can be in a room, and sometimes you feel that you're with a group of people and you can get positive vibes, negative vibes. You can feel the energy. There's more to this. It's deeper than what people think. Now, you, in your practice, you get into that, and you certainly utilize that. You deal with the energy. You use, you bring that energy discussion and highlight it so people can start reflecting and understanding there is that they need to work on. Most of the people typically don't even understand that there's something that's called energy within them or around them,
Sure.
because they're physical as opposed to, getting beyond that. I mean, physically, from a physics perspective, we all know that the world is made of electrons and protons, and we're all linked to, like, the universe and the stars, and it's amazing because we don't put all the picture together as you said on the canvas and see it. We just have bits and pieces and we take whatever, but it's really an completed scene.
Yes, yes. Let's do another exercise. I want you to try something. This will be for everybody as well. It's going to be
Please.
called density, energy, and openness. That's the quality. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes, and I want you to experience your body, your entire body, as a physical presence, like its quality of muscles and bones, what I call the density heavy quality. And that's what allows you to be here, right? That quality is what allows for everything else to unfold, right?
Mhm.
So you can experience that density, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now close your eyes. And now right below the density, I want you to notice that there's an energy that has movement and pulsating and radiating. It's more like flowing. See if you can get in touch with the flowing quality now. You can leave alone the density quality. Now experience the flowing quality.
That is a yes too.
That's
You
energy.
can.
That's energy right there. That's energy, right?
By the way, for anyone who didn't see me, because I wasn't talking, so I will probably not be on the screen, but I just closed my eyes and I was literally into it. The first exercise, I could feel my presence on my chair. And the second one, I just had to go beyond a little bit and not thinking about that. And all of a sudden, I can feel the other flow. And so this is not an orchestrated test. I didn't expect this to happen. So just for you can do this yourself. And if you really just believe in it, think about it, and don't have any you don't have to hit to resist it. Just do it, and you'll see the result. So again, that just to share with the folks, because I know some people are skeptical, like, nah, whatever, this is a show. so so Alex, that was good.
There's your answer to energy.
Ah. Wow. Excellent. So Alex, first of all, I think we're really, like, at the last couple of minutes here on the show. this was super. I have to say. I mean, it was just different. You've taken this to a whole different level. We had fun, but also I think we produced here some sort of a new element for folks that watching or listening to really just take it for a spin, test it out. It's no big deal. What's the worst that can happen, right? You might get where you need out of it.
Yeah, become curious. Become curious about what is reality? Who am I? Those two questions. What is reality and who am I?
And you know what? Those are some real deep questions that we all should be asking ourselves.
All of us. All of us.
Yep. Yes, sir. And again, because we are at the end of the show here. So first of all, thank you. I mean, those were we will leave them at that. Hopefully answer the questions. And by the way, more information, please reach out to Alex. The information and the description of the website will be on the description of the show. So please click the link, check out, inquire. And again, he does it all over the world. Now, I'm curious, where you at? Where you located right now?
I live in Greece.
I was gonna say that because I'm looking at the background and it looks a little greasy. It was like a nice little background of the trees and all that. So that's like, what is that? Hold on, Santorini, Mykonos.
Yeah. So those are the islands. That's
yeah,
right.
Beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Beautiful.
Oh man,
I'm very fortunate. So.
No, listen, and imagine, this is great. I mean, you're able to help people all over the world and still live the life you want. But you've been into this situation. You practice these things for yourself. Obviously, that makes a big difference. And you help people, and that's got to be a great feeling for you to be able to assist people, to change people's lives. There's nothing better in life than really being that helpful, and have that kind of satisfaction. So on my behalf, I mean, thank you for all the good work and the great work you do. And anyone that is in your shoes that are helping folks out there. Alex, it's been a pleasure. It was great. Thank you for a fun show, an interesting show, of course, with a lot of value. Folks, thank you for watching the iHeart channel and listen to iHeart Radio. Hurricane H here. We'll talk next show, new guest, new topic. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.